The original version of this video was blocked worldwide because of a copyright claim, in an obvious attempt to silence criticism. The offending footage comprised 32 seconds out of a more than 10-minute video. I've removed that footage from this version, which still leaves the basic message intact. But before you watch this video, it's best to watch the pathetic propaganda piece being criticised in the link below. Enjoy. So here we have the Washington Post database of people shot dead by police in 2015. And we're specifically interested in black people shot by police. So let's examine a sample of those people and maybe we can figure out ways of avoiding being shot and killed by police. So, Calvin McInnes, a 33-year-old black man armed with a gun, was shot on December 14, 2015 in New Orleans, Louisiana. A New Orleans police officer pulled over a car for a traffic violation. As the officer approached the car, McInnes fired a gun from inside. The officer returned fire. So, first way to avoid being killed if you're black in America. Next we have Leroy Browning, and he may well have been the baddest man in the whole damn town, but he was also a 30-year-old black man armed with a gun. Do you see a pattern here? Did you notice? Black man armed with a gun was shot on December 20, 2015 in Palmdale, California. Browning crashed his vehicle into the side of a restaurant. As Palmdale Sheriff's deputies attempted to arrest Browning, he struggled and grabbed one of the officer's guns. So, second way you can avoid being killed if you're black in America. Martin Ryans Jr., a 20-year-old black man armed with a gun, was shot on October 15, 2015 on a street in Houston, Texas. Police said Ryans was suspected of robbing a pawn shop. When Houston police officers confronted him, Ryans pointed a gun at them. So, third way to avoid being killed if you're black in America. Caleb Alexander, a 25-year-old black man armed with a gun, was shot on October 15, 2015 in a store in Columbus, Ohio. Alexander was a robbery suspect. Columbus police SWAT team officers shot him in a parking lot when he refused to drop his weapon. And thus, number 4. How about Derek Lee Hunt, a 28-year-old black man armed with a knife? Bit of variety. Was shot on August 7, 2015 in Long Beach, California. Hunt stabbed 6 people and ignored Long Beach police officers' orders to drop the knife. So, coming in at number 5... What about Raymond Davis, a 21-year-old black man armed with a gun, was shot on December 4, 2015 in Mount Washington, Pennsylvania. Davis was attempting to rob a bank. A Pittsburgh police officer who was providing security for the bank fatally shot Davis. So, number 6. Moving on to James Anderson, a 33-year-old black man armed with a box cutter, was shot with a stun gun and shot on September 25, 2015 in Chicago, Illinois. Chicago police were responding to a domestic disturbance call. Anderson approached officers with a box cutter and ignored their commands to drop it. Number 7. Do you see another pattern emerging here? Don't disobey the police. Junior Prosper. Didn't prosper much if you're on this list. An unarmed 31-year-old black man was shocked with a stun gun and shot on September 28, 2015 on a street in Miami, Florida. A Miami-Dade police officer responded to a traffic accident involving a taxi cab that had struck a light pole. The driver fled on foot, ran onto an interstate ramp, and then bit the officer who approached him. Jesus, what are you, a fucking vampire? Number 8. Who have we got here? Deng Manyun, a 35-year-old black man armed with a flagpole. Improvisation. Was shot on June 13, 2015 on a street in Louisville, Kentucky. Manyun, who was suspected in an assault, charged at a Louisville police officer with the metal flagpole. Well, they just write themselves, don't they? Number 9. Alexia Christian, a 25-year-old black woman armed with a gun. Oh, one for the girls. Was shot on April 29, 2015 in a vehicle in Atlanta, Georgia. Christian, taken into custody by Atlanta police officers investigating a car theft, escaped handcuffs and fired from the back seat of a patrol car. Shit. Number 10. David Felix, an unarmed 24-year-old black man, was shot on April 25, 2015 in an apartment building in New York. Felix, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, fled from New York City detectives who wanted to interview him about a robbery. He grabbed an officer's radio and struck a detective on the head. Number 11. Lionel Lorenzo Young, a 34-year-old black man driving a vehicle, was shot on May 10, 2015 in Landover, Maryland. Young was shot by Prince George's County Sheriff's deputies after leading them on a chase and ramming into their cruisers. Number 12. Makes sense, they're not dodgem cars. Don Smith, a 29-year-old black man armed with a gun, was shot on April 9, 2015 after a car chase in Monon, Indiana. After an armed robbery and a carjacking, police in Watseka, Illinois, shot Smith as he tried to force a woman he kidnapped into a minivan. So just to recap, armed robbery followed by carjacking leads to a police chase, then somehow has time to kidnap a woman and tries to force her into a second vehicle. Busy boy that Donnie. But the key takeaway for number 13 on the list of ways to avoid being killed if you're black in America, and really could be applied to any of the aforementioned 12 ways. Now, hopefully it's clear that the point is not to denigrate those that have lost their lives in whatever circumstances, but to illustrate how vapid the original video is, and not just because it glosses over the circumstances of specific shootings, but the idea that it only or disproportionately happens to black people, and as the original description asserts, that it is a result of systemic racism. Claims which have been shown in a previous video do not hold up under scrutiny.